Right now, we've missed for a couple of weeks, but it's time to bring in Thor and Kristen Dowder from Main Street Magazine. You'll find them, of course, for free pickup throughout the tri state region at various locations and also their website, which is mainstreetmag.com. Good morning, Thor.
Good morning. How are you?
Getting better, better, better. Even though my voice doesn't sound like it's getting better, it is.
Well, better is always good.
Better is good by increments. Is the
Yes.
way it seems to be going. But anyway, a cold morning this morning. It was 3 when I left the house. It was 4
Oh,
here. We're now up to 5 degrees in Sharon. 5.
whopping five.
But we might get up into the 20s today. But then rain and in the 50s later this week.
I heard 56 on Thursday.
Yeah, possibly.
That's
So
not too bad.
we're having mud season at various times this year. It's not just one season for mud season.
And here I thought mud season only existed in Vermont.
Yeah, no, normally it's just one time around here, but this year we've already had 2 mud seasons, and it looks like we're going to have a third one. Well, let's get back to the magazine. The article I want to start off with is by Griffin Cooper, "A Full Life: A Community Legacy."
Yes. So for those in and around the greater Copic area, everyone knows who Larry Proper was. He was a huge part of the community, a family man, raising 4 children there. Terry, his wife, has been an instrumental part of the community as well. Having had Terry's Cool Kids was the program she had there for little kids. And Larry just about served in every position possible in the greater Copic area, as the town supervisor, as part of the fire department, and so on and so forth. And unfortunately, Larry passed in the end of November, and so or Griffin, I should say, spoke with the family and did a little Q&A about Larry and his life and his legacy, and what his kids thought of how it was growing up with Larry, and the impact that he has made on not just their lives but on the community, and what he leaves behind.
It's interesting in these small towns, and I don't know whether it will continue into the future or not, but I call it these pillars of the legacies of these towns.
Yes.
And over the past 2 or 3 years, we've lost throughout the tri-state region people that have been so involved in the community and meant so much to the community that they really truly are pillars. That it's not that they intended to be pillars; it's just that I think that's the way the lifestyle was. And once you started volunteering and doing things in town for good, it kept going through your life.
It was in Copic, lost another Reggie Crowley, passed around the same time that Larry did. So, Copic, has been hurting a little bit. But at the same time, you look back at, these, as you call them, the pillars of these communities and the impact that they've had. And it's not just on that particular community, but it's the ripple
Yeah.
effect, and how that community has grown, and how what has happened, as a result of collaboration and just emotional impact, as well as the dedication to that community. And Larry, checked off all those boxes. What he did in his lifetime was just, it's something for everyone to want to emulate, to be inspired to do, and to just want to make a difference at such a quiet level, because he has such a quiet soul too.
Yeah, we when we lose these community members, it definitely you feel the emptiness, and it doesn't just that emptiness doesn't go away.
No.
Next story, which is an interesting story: Blue Moon backpacking the winter equinox.
Ian, he loves the outdoors, and so he decided to go on an evening hike, and he shares that journey with us, and it's kind of interesting, But it was during a blue moon, and so he shares the ups and downs of it, and what he encountered, and some of the things to watch out for when you're out hiking in the wintertime, and in the dark. And he shares where he went, and so it's kind of interesting, for someone like me who doesn't is not in the outdoors that much, and let alone at nighttime. First, when he told me about this, I was like, oh, okay. I'd love to hear the story. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but it was quite an interesting story, and makes you think of the outdoors a little differently.
Well, I have enough problems when I'm walking down a country road just worrying about a bear or
Yeah,
even coming across a rabid raccoon or a fisher cat. Never mind
exactly.
going on. I know it can be bright under the moon and stuff like that, but because this year more bears and fisher cats have been active this winter than I've ever seen before. It's like half the bear population decided to take off hibernating this year.
Yeah, well, I'm sure the warmer weather, at least not, well, not in January, has something to do with it. But it's I wouldn't want to encounter those during the daytime, let alone at nighttime.
That's what I'm saying. All right. And speaking about encountering wildlife when you're out backpacking, your next story: lessons in achieving longevity.
Yeah. Regina looked at the so-called blue zones and
We
walked us
just did
through.
we just did a thing with Arthur Schwartz, the food
Oh,
maven,
okay.
on the person who originally wrote the book, The Blue Zones.
Yep. So Regina references that, explains the whole concept of that, as well as better living, and then she goes into the 9 power practices that are involved in it, as well as I think if I this is now a month and a half ago that I read this article and laid it out, but I think she references also some of the areas that are considered the blue zones in the world and what distinguishes those areas and those people. And what is attributed to contributed to their longevity. So it's super interesting, and it kind of makes you go, oh well, I can do that, I can fix that, I can do a little more of this, and hopefully we can all live a longer life. And imagine if we made a blue zone in our area.
Well, what was interesting about it is the minute I saw the story, and when Arthur came on yesterday, and basically did his whole show on blue zones, and he had, as a food critic, he had traveled to a lot of these different areas,
Yeah.
and he talked extensively about certain blue zone areas and stuff like that. So it's a really interesting story, and you'll find it in this month's edition. And let's go on to your final story, because I look at this and I say, well, I'm not in this category. Are you a sexy senior?
Yes, Dominique pitched this story to me, and I said, sure, let's go for it. I've never had a story like this before. And she was thrilled that the author that she references in this actually was in the New York Times just around the time that she submitted the story to me, so she was able to include it in here. Meaning that it's just like you were talking about blue zones, people are talking about this, but she talks about people a little older and their sex lives and what's important and a couple of tips and things to look out for. And so she's been curious to see if I've heard any feedback. She's had some feedback, and it's been very positive. So that's been nice to hear. And I don't want to give too much away, but I'd love for people to read it and let us know what they think of it.
Well, it's interesting because I think the longer people live and the more active people are and the more medical abilities are there to help people with rehab and keeping your joints and yoga and everything, people who are in their 60s and 70s are active, and I don't know if the term sexy or anything like that goes to it, but they do live a younger lifestyle than people who were 60 to 80, 20 years ago.
Oh, for sure. What's the saying? 30 is the new 40 or something like that.
Well, I used
That
to say that, but now I say I say 60s are the new 50s.
Well, I guess every decade that you get older, you just move that needle, right?
That's right. You try to move it back a little bit, but I don't think people look at their age anymore as a time.
No.
Okay, I'm 55, I retire, or I'm 65, I retire. I think people stay more actively involved if they can, and try to continue as normal a lifestyle as possible.
And I think that has to, that kind of ties into both this and the longevity article that we were just talking about. It's about that mindset and staying active, and that, I think that's the crucial part, because as soon as you stop, it all stops. So, both keeping your mind and body, soul, everything active in whatever fashion suits your life, but, just keep moving.
And speaking about keeping moving, here we're sitting smack dab, hard to believe, smack dab in the middle of February. March is not that far away. What do you have planned for March in the magazine?
It is our annual farming and animal issue, and which is popular. All the, as Ashley loves to call them, the friendly faces are animals. So no humans in that one this month, but all the stories revolve around animals and farming in some way. And so we get some good stories. I'm running a little behind, as last week we missed, because my daughter was sick, and that's right on the footsteps of, cold running through my house in January. So I'm playing catch up and hope to get her depressed by the end of the week. But it's so far shaping up to be a pretty interesting issue.
Well, it's interesting because we here at the radio station are already signing on farmers markets for the late spring and summer already.
Good.
I think people can't wait to get there.
I know. Well, January is so brutally cold. I think we're all over it. We just want spring to come.
But I'm just going to tell you this right now. In our long-term forecast 2 months ago, Pat Pagano predicted this type of winter, and we'll see if it comes true. He also predicted that March will be the worst winter month of the winter.
That's happened a few times.
Yeah.
I think it was about 5 years ago, because I remember Eleanor at 52 Main next to me. We got 3 major blizzards that were all on her busy weekend nights, and so it impacted her business quite a bit. But just having to shovel out, and so I always say winter's not over until we get through St. Patty's Day, and then we can think about it.
Like my grandmother used to say, she never did any planting or flowering until after Memorial Day. That was it. That was her day. She waited till Memorial Day. All right. Well, of course, Main Street Magazine, free pickup throughout the tri-state region at mainstreetmag.com. Thorne, we'll speak to you again next week.
I hope we do.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Thorne Christendotter this morning here on Robin Hood Radio. And once again, on the web, it's mainstreetmag.com, and free pickup throughout the tri-state region.